All right, so you've seen him on TV, you've seen him in movies, you've seen him in, I don't know, every crime documentary has the FBI in it.
Of course.
Rom-coms even.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think I've ever seen, at least not one I can remember in person, but we have a retired FBI agent here today and a former attorney.
Yes.
You said recovering attorney.
I said recovering attorney.
What does that mean?
Well, very few people like attorneys. We are the butt of many jokes. Of course, it's very easy. It's a great target, and nobody likes any of them except theirs, right? When you need one, it's one of those professions. I pursued it because it was an opportunity to be a problem solver, and I think that's what drew me into that analytical thought, looking and understanding the law, being able to explain that to the layperson or to folks that are not engaged in the practice, I think was really what drew me to it. So, but as I entered into the profession and found it was more of a business like anything else, and so it was less about the truth or the facts and what was there versus what's the settlement amount. Is it more expensive to take this to litigation or just pay the amount? Whether or not it's right or wrong, or truth or fiction, it's where's that meter and finding that gauge. So from a negotiation standpoint, great opportunity, great chance to interact with folks. I had some wonderful mentors when I was first coming out of law school. Very, very fortunate and blessed to land with a small to medium-sized firm that really gave me some great experience and latitude that many of my other colleagues didn't receive right out of law school. But it was not, I didn't find the job satisfaction there. I knew I wanted to do something in public service, which is why I think I was drawn to the FBI.
So, and what did you specialize in for law, criminal law?
Well, it's interesting. Everybody gets the same general practice. So you do contracts, torts, you do, your standard study, con law as you go through, but then you do have an opportunity to somewhat specialize if your law school provides that, or you can seek it out. So I did some specialty courses at, I graduated from, I'll give the plug, Ohio Northern University, the Pettit College of Law, up there in Ada, Ohio. Great institution, not a lot of distractions from the study of law or otherwise. They've got a great undergrad institution as well. But for me, I wanted to pursue environmental law, or at least that was my thought. I was going to do something with EPA or something in enforcement, environmental enforcement. I was very attuned to that when I was going through high school and even through undergrad. And so I went to Vermont Law School, summer programs. They had some specialty. I learned about CERCLA and RCRA, some of the federal statutes that the federal EPA would enforce and utilize. And I really thought that might be my nexus in the direction that I would go. And then I took a few summer courses as well with over here at Northern Kentucky University at Chase College of Law in entertainment law. I had a background in undergrad with the performing arts and vocal performance and a number of other factors. I had some good colleagues of mine that made a profession of it. So I thought that may also be working as an agent, working in that field, understanding how the points and royalties and that whole system worked. That would be an intriguing way to pursue a career. But again, as I said, you go where the opportunities are, and where I got hired was insurance subrogation and defense. And while I'm sure it would have been a great profession for a career, just for me that passion was missing. And when the bureau called and said, "Hey, your application is still here. Are you interested?" I approached the partners and said, I've got this chance. And they both sat on their, and I remember the conversation still very vividly. They were sitting on their, Harvey was behind his desk and Stuart was kind of sitting on it. They said, "Yeah, if we were single, we'd go."
Well, good for them though, being honest. I mean, that's from both ends, from your end and their end, because with you being in that, you've made it through the hurdles, and now you're in this, you're kind of finding, because how old are you at this point?
I was 27. 27.
Yeah,
So
you're
I
a
was
young
young.
man.
I went through a lot of this kind of on the younger side. So
Yeah.
I mean, I graduated law school 24, 25, and was able to get out and pass the bar and start working right away. And that's what I really had a lot of gratitude for both of them for giving me that trust and that opportunity. It was funny. Harvey, and Harvey Immerman, he's since passed away, but he really took me under his wing. He was also an Ohio Northern grad, which is I think why my application made it into their pile. But he said, "Look, kid, I'm going to give you a chance. If you want to sit second chair, I will be first chair. We'll go through a number of these trials for the first 6 months." He says, "You do the research, you provide all the background, you prep the witnesses, you do the work, and I will show you how this works in the courtroom." He said, "And if you don't mess up," now he used different language, of course, "but then we're going to switch. And after 6 months, you be first chair, I'll sit second chair, and then after that year, if I'm convinced that you've got this, I'm going to go build the client book, go out to lunch, play golf, and you're going to run these cases."
Yeah.
And so he did that, and then Stuart was pretty much the managing partner, and just again, great folks, great opportunity for me. And when this arose, they said, "Look, we support you. Go find us another associate. So before you leave, find us a replacement, so that we don't have to go through that HR thing." And with that, they said, "If you don't like it, if this turns out not to be kind of the dream, that aspiration that you have, we'll keep the door, come on back. We'll keep the door open." So for me, it was a win-win, and I have gone through my entire life with that gratitude with both of those folks.
Well, yeah, and you got to pat yourself on the back too because like I said, how stupid the most 25-year-olds are. So for you to be doing that at that age, I mean, and your image of self, I mean, you're in the dust still. Like you're like, okay, who am I? You're still trying to find your way, but you're solidifying yourself through this education, and then you're getting into this career and going, man, this is something that I'm sure there's many attorneys out there that said, I wish I would have stopped, 2 or 3 years in and went another direction.
And that's, I think, also the intent behind me pursuing that degree, is I knew it was flexible. It was one of those, the tools and the skills that you acquire and develop and kind of polish in the law school setting allow you to do a variety of different professions or pursuits. And so in that part, it was intentional, even with the areas of law. I mean, you think about it, from environmental law to entertainment, pretty broad spectrum, and then general practice. And here I ended up in insurance subrogation and defense. So, go figure.
What's the movie with Mark Ruffalo about the environment? Do you remember that movie? Have you seen that movie?
No, I don't know that I have.
It's a.
I can think of Aaron Brockovich, the one with Julia Roberts.
It's got Mark Ruffalo in it. That's all I remember. It's a movie about the basically this, I don't know, multi-billion-dollar company, and they're basically in this town, and they're, gosh, man, it was like Teflon, but it's like it wouldn't break down.
Oh, like a coating or something that was inside.
I believe so. Okay. All I know is it had Mark Ruffalo in it. I'll have to find the name of that movie. Now, when you mentioned that, I was like, man, I didn't know if you'd seen that movie. I saw it a few years ago.
No, I'll have to look for it.
But anyways, so you dabbled in a pretty wide spectrum of law, and then you got the call for the FBI.
Yeah, no, I did actually pursue, and again, from the intent with the environmental side, I did a internship with the Ohio EPA, worked with enforcement both on the side of not only the state law, but their umbrella or partnership with the federal EPA and Region 5, which is here in the Cincinnati area, and it covers a broad area or broad spectrum or footprint. And so I learned a lot through that internship. Had a great opportunity, and I think realistically could have pursued that as well if the opportunity had presented itself.
Man, yeah, I think it would have been, and you would have probably had, I don't know how much training after that on the back end too. I mean, whatever you would have went with. I don't think either one of those would have been a bad option. Now, when did you like apply for the FBI? Because it sounds like you were.
It's funny. I did some research with it. Of course, it was not just something that was came out of the blue. Mm-hmm. I spoke with at the time, and we're seated here in the church that, as I said, I grew up in, and one of the folks that was a mentor to me as a child was the global corporate security director for Procter & Gamble.
Oh man!
Yeah, I know. Here he gave me some insight because he had been an agent. He'd been an FBI agent for 9 years in New York field office before transitioning to the private sector. And I asked him. I said, "Well, why'd you leave?" He goes, "Well, my wife and I had this great opportunity in the private sector. It was Procter & Gamble, of course." Opened the door and said, "Hey, would you consider coming over?" And he said, "We just had our had our first child." So it was a lifestyle switch. And he said, but it wasn't because of the Bureau, wasn't because of the work. He loved it. And so after speaking with him, and then he said, look, I only hire folks that have that federal background and the crossing over into private sector, or folks that are retiring or transitioning out of federal service into private. He goes, I look for that because I know the quality, the character, the background check, what they bring to the table into those roles. And then I talked to some other folks that were involved in it. We had an agent that visited while I was in law school up at Ohio Northern, and he was from the resident agency based at that time in Lima, Ohio, and that would have been the Cleveland field office. And so every agent and former agent that I spoke with loved their career. Mm. And to me, that spoke volumes in and of itself. So I knew from a motivation standpoint and just my personality that it would probably be a good fit. Mm. Yeah. So I had applied while I was still in law school.
Okay.
And initially got rejected.
I feel like most people do, though.
Well, but it was funny. It was one of those things where they said, finish your law degree. So I talked to the recruiter. They said, just finish your degree, reapply. Once you've graduated, get some experience. Once you've graduated, get some experience, and then reapply. So it wasn't a hard no.
Yeah.
But it was one of those, don't call us just yet. We might call you, but let's keep the conversation going. So it was not a hard no, but it was more of, you're not far enough along, you don't have the skill sets or the life experience that we need, and call us when you do, and then we'll reconsider. So I continued to keep my application active, if you will. So I would send an update and kind of along that path. So when that opportunity arose, and I didn't know at the time, but they weren't hiring anybody, at least for a window during that time period, because they had a hiring freeze. There was a federal funding hiring freeze. It was what they call hollow work years. And so there were a number of positions that were going unfilled in the Bureau, among other federal agencies. I just was not, of course, didn't know that at the time, wasn't aware of that. That's not something they're sharing. But when the door opened in '97, I said yes, and so accelerated that process, doing the whole background check, physical fitness, and a number of other things. But I had worked toward that, so I continued to keep myself. I was training, I was keeping myself in great shape. I was not making poor choices, which I think also weeds a lot of our contenders or potential applicants out.
Oh, I could get on a soapbox on that one. Yeah. So what is that? What's the hiring process like? I'm sure it's different in '97 than now, but
yes, without a doubt. Now, at that time, that's back when you actually had I'll use it. Those folks that don't remember, a typewriter, versus word processor. You could actually type the words onto the paper. you had a long form application. Things would start first with a short one. You'd submit that. If they liked what they saw, they would then invite you to do a cursory kind of meet and greet to say, here's the long form, fill that out. If we like what we see there, we'll invite you to what's called phase 2, which was a opportunity to go to a location. For me, I think it was, I want to say when it went up to Cleveland, to go through the process where you had a panel interview. So you had a panel of 3 investigators or agents that were there that would ask you a set series of questions with very little emotional or
No
feedback.
reaction.
Yeah, no reaction, no response. So you had no idea how well you're doing or if you are. And then you would take I'll call it a glorified SAT. So they had a general knowledge, multiple choice, and essay exam that you would take as part of that as well. So you had a little bit of a writing sample, right? You had the intellectual side to see if you could problem solve and some artificialities of stress and timing that were put into that process. And that was back then. That was back then. So it's evolved considerably now with the advent of the digital age and federal testing centers and some of the other aspects. But for me, putting that forward, doing that process, getting to that point was almost an 18-month process.
Oh my gosh.
From that point, and again, letting the partners know that I was doing this, number one. I let them know that I was putting in, not knowing if I would have an opportunity to be selected or going in. And this is not too long after being hired. So you think about that. I wanted to let them know that if somebody knocks on the door, is doing a background or a follow-up, here's why. It's not for a bad reason. It's actually for a good reason.
Hey, that guy you hired, Rob.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's going to work out or not, but I'd like, and I think this is my philosophy in life, and I tell this to my children, I tell this to folks that I work with, I tell this to the students in the courses. Give yourself the decision to make.
Yeah.
Now, rather than be timid, rather than be apprehensive about, do I do this or not, apply. Try it. If you get turned down, so what? You've got a career, you're doing well, you're in a position, you can change your trajectory. Mm-hmm. But if you don't, it's that, that old quote, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So why not? Give it a shot. See what happens. Give yourself that decision to make. And if you have a partner, if you have a significant other, if you have a spouse, they can give you insight on it as well. Yeah. They know you probably better than in some aspects you may know yourself. So listen to that consult, figure out what the best decision is to move forward. And then, but if you don't, you're always going to have that nagging, what if?
Yeah.
Well, I wonder, what if I'd have done this? What if I hadn't? Well, if you choose, or you at least make that opportunity happen, then you've made the choice. You've made the decision.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's I think most people succumb to that. They don't want to push themselves because it's all, hey, what if I do get this opportunity? Am I good enough? I've had that battle with myself. Hey, growing up from my background, I mean, it was, now when I think about it, I am leaps and bounds socioeconomically, I mean, everything. And now I have to rein in my kids. I mean, you and I have discussed this before, but I tell my kids, I'm like, you have no idea. And it's a good thing you have no idea because
Right.
I have these safety barriers in place, but, and you were single too. I mean, or you didn't have kids at that point.
Right. At that time I was, I wasn't married, I was single, but, and that was also an illuminating factor. I mean, for me, I was involved in a serious relationship at the time as I was going through this process. And it was one of those instances where I said, I think I want to do this. And I said, well, if you're going to pursue that,
I'm gone.
Yeah, I don't want that
the
lifestyle.
ultimatum.
And that was, I mean, there were other factors, of course, and kind of the push and pull, and as human relationships are there. But it was interesting because that I think I came to the realization that there needs to be that, if it's going to be effective and you're going to be successful in that partnership, if you have someone else involved in that relationship, it truly is something that has to be mutual and an understanding. Because at least in the profession with the Bureau, as in many government entities as well, I don't think it's just exclusive to us, but if you have a clearance or a security clearance at some level, you can't really take your work home. So there has to be a really good trust basis with your partner in order for this to be successful.
Shrouded in secrecy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But you know, that's where I think TV and the movies play this.
It's one of my questions in my little.
Go for it. Go for it.
I honestly, man, this has been going along so well. I have to just keep myself prompted, you know. But so I do want to ask you. The FBI, obviously, it's huge. I mean, it is, you know. Except for when you're watching movies, it's like the same.
Well, right.
They're the same thing. They go in and
they go in. Locals
blue
get
and yellow
upset because they say they're going to take over, and you see the jacket that says, "Yeah."
the piss and match between
exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that in reality. You know that.
What was your? I mean, whatever you can and can't talk about, I completely understand. But what was your role within the Bureau?
You know, I had a very dynamic career. And,
nice.
And I think that part of that is each individual has a unique one. So everybody's story is going to be a little bit different. And that was really what drew me into the FBI's profession as a pursuit, as a career, as a calling. And really that's what it is. It is a mission that is shared by, well, roughly 33,000 individuals. Agents are only a small percentage of that. So there's, let's say, roughly 13,000. And I'm giving you an average number. It's gone up. I'm sure there's funding, and then there's, you know, we never quite hit that number because people retire or things change and funding gets frozen, that sort of thing. But the reality is, excuse me, investigators cannot function in the field without the support and the exemplary support of the professional staff, the PhDs, the folks in the laboratory division, the specialists that are there, the evidence support, you name it, from the groundwork and foundation to the people that are answering the phones and the hotline and the tips. All of these professionals make up the FBI, and I think people often lose sight of that, particularly with the TV and movies and the portrayal, and you see the people coming up. Well, none of that happens without this incredible infrastructure and network that is there in support. I could not do anything in my career without the broader support and team. And I think that's the other thing too, is that you and a lot of us will roll our eyes, but there are folks out there that have said, well, I worked on this case and did this and me, and reality speaking, yeah, we were all part of a team, but most of my successes came as a task force member and working with state and locals who are working on our task force that had gone through the clearances, my colleagues within the squads that I worked. So to start, let's go back and fast forward. I've made it through Quantico. I've received my credentials. I'm heading off to the great city of Chicago that I knew nothing about. No context. So what do? I talk to somebody who's there at the FBI Academy from the National Academy. So that was my first introduction to understanding what this was. It was a program where they bring in law enforcement executives from across the United States and across the globe that have been vetted, and they go through screening, and they spend 10 weeks at the FBI Academy learning from the instructors, going through the programs, and you're there at the same time that new agents are being trained. So I had a chance to sit down with folks that were from some of the western suburbs, northwest suburbs, city of Chicago, and they were giving me advice on here's where you live, and this is like Agentville out here, and they called Naperville and Lisle. There's the western suburbs of Chicago.
Yeah, say Naperville is a very nice place.
Exactly. So I'm like, oh, great. And I look on the map, I'm like, oh, well, that's close to downtown. Chicago traffic, my friend, that was a rude awakening. Working downtown and commuting 20 miles could take anywhere between an hour and 15 to an hour and 45 each way.
This is the third largest city in the U.S., I believe.
It's up
New York,
there.
L.A., Chicago, and then I think it's Houston. Anyways,
it vies back and forth with Houston, just depending on the sprawl and the numbers. From the field office division, we were the third largest. So I mean, it's a big field office that's there. So
Now, is that normal to send new agents out there? Or
they
does it
go where the
matter?
need is,
Okay.
and it's on the rotation. So as the new classes are coming through, there's it's need based, and I think the Bureau has become much better about trying to keep people because when you're in the academy, you rank all 56 field offices, 1 through 56. What's your preference?
56.
Right? So you kind of select. They're doing a much better job now of getting you at least in the region or the area because they found out, retention
People generally stay when
plays a big factor in that. And, honestly, cost of living. You get a GS-10, GS-13 that's coming out at the academy, and it is tough to survive in LA, New York, Chicago. On a government salary income. Now there's cost of living adjustment, all those other factors that are there. But the reality is looking at kind of the expectations and also the broader support for folks when they make that selection, where they want to serve, is now an important factor. I think that was not as well counted when I was coming out. But every class has a pool.
Yeah.
We have a pool of who has the highest number down there. In other words, and for ours, it was a guy that was ranked 37, and that was Newark, New Jersey. And he won the pool because he had the highest number, the lowest on his list. That's where he ended up getting assigned and going. Now, he ended up doing very well in the Bureau and navigating and figuring his path out. But it's a challenge, but you sign on that line. It's part of that oath that you take. Mm-hmm. You don't have control necessarily over that, but you do know what the impact and what you'll be doing, regardless of where that will be.
Yeah,
is going to be a unique experience.
I was going to say I'd be intimidated, but that's part of the thrill of it. I think because it is a three-headed dragon. I use that word a lot. I use that analogy, three-headed dragon.
Cerberus. That's the three-headed. Yeah, from that.
I don't know. I probably should change a number. Four-headed,
the rings of
five-headed.
Powell, but that's all part of that.
Well,
reference.
In my agency, it's like it's I can't even. When you said 56 field officers, like, oh. But that would be, to me, that alone is like, hey, if I don't like this particular niche I'm in, I can go and probably do something or work my way towards something different, but stay within the under the umbrella of the FBI, or.
And that's what's unique, I think, about the career as well. We have the broadest spectrum of federal responsibilities as far as federal enforcement.
Yeah.
And so you can develop a niche or a specialty, but then you can do collateral duties as well. So for me, I put my hand up for the evidence response team program and forensics. I put my hand up for the hazardous materials response team program. They mirrored each other a little bit, but there were some specialties that ended up throughout the course of my career really being some needs and affording me opportunities to do work or investigations that I never would have imagined. As far as this kid coming through law school from Ohio and where I would end up. So you are absolutely right, and this is what I would tell folks that were coming in or new applicants that were trying to consider, do I want to pursue this? I said, look, you will never be bored.
Yeah.
In the Bureau. If you are, it's your own fault.
Yeah.
There are so many opportunities, but you have to balance that with patience, because nothing in a federal system is going to happen instantaneously unless it's a response or unless there's some sort of huge incident like September 11th or otherwise. Yeah. Then you really see how efficient and effective some of these teams, resources, and the government as a whole can be in response to that. But then I think we grow and evolve with each of these incidents as well and learn. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really what, to me, was also a big factor. You were constantly educating, constantly learning throughout that career. And that didn't change from day one for me to the time where I finally,
hung it up,
stepped out of the Bureau.
Well, you and I were talking about a quote, you can love the job, you love the Bureau, but doesn't love you back.
This is
You
true.
remember? Talk about that for a little bit, because I feel like, do you feel like there's guys that are at the end of their career and they're like, hey, I probably need to hang this up and go, sit on the front porch with the wife, and
If
they're having a hard time.
If they still have one.
Well,
Yeah,
their
and
third
that's-
wife, I don't know.
Right. There's a lot of adages about law enforcement in and of itself with that, but I think, and I'm very, as I say, I start out all of my presentations, or most of my presentations and addresses, with the fact that I'm still married to the same woman of 27 years, and got three boys I'm very proud of, and of anything in my life, those are the proudest accomplishments. But it can be tough to find that balance, and I think really it's an intentional act, and there are folks that I think get lost in the job itself, and it can be very intense and demands a lot of focus, and there's no question you should do that, but there should be hopefully effective communication, because part of the drawback, as I said from the outset, there's clearance factors, there's elements to what you're doing, and you're not trying to play to an ego, or hey, this is more important. And no, there's like a security protocol in place. I can't tell you exactly what we're doing or where we're doing, but I can tell you it's important, and this is why. And this is why we have to be gone for 3 weeks, or go away to do this, or I'm leaving in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Those are the things, and as long as my wife knew I was insured, I think that was the bottom line.
Gosh, well, yeah, I mean, and that's the thing too, is like sometimes, and I think it's also to protect you on the back end. It's like, you start telling people stuff, or your wife tells her friend at the salon.
Well,
and then
precisely. Yeah.
So, I mean, because, I mean, it's, what is the difference between a secret clearance versus a top secret clearance? Do you know? I mean,
3 letters.
Okay. Okay.
Top versus no. Honestly, it's the classification, or the amount of information that is
Divulged.
Correct. So with each level, there's a little bit more control over what can go, and when you get to the let's call it the secret compartmented information facility, SCIFs. You hear that talked about a lot, particularly with military, DoD, some others. Those are layers and levels where you're not taking communication devices. You're leaving cell phones, locking stuff up, other things. Those don't go into the spaces where that information is stored. Plus, a lot of the systems that are used within government to help protect that information are proprietary. So they're closed. They're not accessing the general web. They're not accessing the internet. There's
Google and
you're
YouTube.
not taking a thumb drive in and plugging that in and pulling that. Taking
Like in the
your work.
movies.
Right.
Come
no,
on.
does not work that way.
And it's got the bar, and they're like, come on.
Yeah,
and it's like
yeah.
99%, and they, last minute.
Right.
Downloads.
That's not going to be happening.
So disappointed to hear that.
Yes. Sorry to disillusion you. But the reality is, many of us that have worked in those spaces that do that take it very seriously. I mean, this is your life. This is our lives. These are our communities that we're trying to protect. Right.
Yeah.
I mean that ultimately that's why those things are in place. It's not conspiracy theorists and all these other.
That was my number one go-to, and this
Oh.
people are like, well, like 9/11 was an inside job, or Osama, like and here's my thing. I am an open-minded individual, but I was in the 5th grade in 2001. So it's, for me, it's like to talk to someone like you and you've walked that walk, so it's just like anything else, though, that gets into the wrong hands, then yeah.
And I think anyone that's been in the federal government should be able to tell you they're well, and it's changing. I mean, certainly I can't speak to the experience that people are going through right now in today's world, in today's environment, but there's so many people that are doing their jobs, making a difference, having whatever role they play in that system, that it would be very, very difficult for there to be the complicity and the conspiracy, network without someone raising their hand going, yeah, no, this isn't happening.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. we were talking about, movies and comparing it to, how did, I'm sure you've seen Silence of the Lambs.
Oh yeah, yeah.
How did old Clarice do? How was that for
You're never going to take a new trainee out into the field like that. Sorry, this isn't going to happen. The other thing that was fun about the movie in particular is she's out there running, we call it the Yellow Brick Road, right? That's,
Yeah, she's jogging,
the obstacle course. It's got the ropes
That's
and
a
the
real
other
thing.
stuff. And you see her out there running. I think it's at the beginning of the movie, right?
I think so.
Yeah. And then, boom, she's right back there coming into the gym in the academy. Well, the reality, it'll lay out the footprint there. You got like 5K in between the entrance point to that, and if not even, it could be more than that. It could be 10K, 6 miles, from the entry point of that exercise thing to the gym at the FBI Academy. So there's wonders of movie magic. We're like, oh no, she didn't cover. She didn't just get that and come out and hop back in. Plus, it's on the Marine Corps base, so we are guests essentially of the United States Marine Corps.
I didn't know that.
And hoorah! They're great partners. Tremendous respect for the Corps, what they do, and the folks that they bring through. Their officer candidate school is there.
I'm interviewing a Marine Corps officer soon. He was a captain, but I'd love to interview like a general, like a high level, like, what do you do all day? Anyway, sorry about that.
So, but yeah, we digress. But the realities of that, that's not really going to be happening. Unfortunately, I hate to burst the Hollywood bubble. Great movie.
Oh, was that movie 91? Oh God, early 90s.
Now I will give you an aside. You know, I had a role in a Jodie Foster movie.
Really?
Yeah. Filmed right here in Cincinnati and up at Miami University. It was
really?
Certainly not a blockbuster, but it was called Little Man Tate. She was the director of the film. And if you look closely, and it was thankfully not cut onto the editing room floor, but I was an extra, had a small role there in interaction with the lead character. Didn't get cut, so it's actually in the film. I was typecast, so that'll be my challenge to you to see if you can find it.
Oh, I'll find it.
Little Man Tate is the name.
Little Man Tape?
Little Tate.
Tate. T-A-T-E. Okay.
Old movie.
Oh, you got to get back in there.
I don't think so. I'm an old guy now.
Well, I mean, Clint Eastwood's still doing it, you know, and he's got about 40 years on you.
He has a little bit more of a foundation, I think, than I do.
Oh man, I don't know. This is a good one. Anti-piracy. So I had a funny story for you. I had a friend named Travis in the 8th grade, and he just said men that were wearing suits. I don't know who it was. I'm assuming the FBI, but he went nuts on like LimeWire, and that stuff was big back when I was in middle school.
Yep.
And I grew up in foster care, so I was, he was. God bless you, Travis. I doubt he would see that. I don't even know where he is, but he would, he'd burn me CDs. And one day at lunch, he's like, dude, my mom went to the door yesterday, and there was these men in suits. I was like, what did you do? Like, looking for him. And I guess they were asking him about the websites and the downloads. So have you ever had any experience with that? Because you see it on like movies, like anti-piracy warning. And
Of course.
Okay.
Sure. And for a period of time, I think when a lot of the services, and it's clamped down a little bit more, you've got a lot of places that are now, you've got streaming services, right? And people sign up for a lot of these things where you're paying a fee. Well, the whole principle behind that is that the droit d'auteur, right? The author's rights. So this is the whole concept behind copyrighted material and the authors, particularly with music. And, in music, you think about production, you have the folks that are writing it, the folks that are producing it, the actual performer that's there. All of them are getting kind of points
royalties
along the way, a royalty if that is played. And then there are groups like ASCAP, BMI, the others that monitor how many times is it played on the radio. You hear about playlists, right? Well, any of your productions or facilities are keeping a list of the times those are played, and every time something is on the radio, or it's featured in a commercial, or it's used in a movie or something like that, there is a piece or a royalty that is paid back to all of those people that have either a fraction or a portion or a point or whatever the case may be for simplification. Now I'm oversimplifying the
Gotcha.
concept here. But when you pirate something, when you just, you don't purchase it, you record it, burn it, give it to a copy to someone else, you're cutting all those folks out.
Yeah.
So their job, their livelihood, what they do, and people are like, oh, they make millions of dollars. No, because you've got all these other folks that are along the way that are not the star or the artist,
Right.
that are part of that are injured as a result of that process, because you're essentially
Absolutely.
taking money out of their pocket or a potential for that income out of that. Now, and I've really oversimplified the process, but from a music production standpoint, from an artist or film production standpoint, same concepts. I mean, you think about if you've ever, and I share that because for me, doing that small thing on an extra side really gave a view to me on how many folks are involved in the production of a 2.5 minute scene. You've got people that are running the laying the rails, the grips that are holding the sound, the speed. I mean, you think about right here, we're just doing a simple podcast.
Yeah.
You've got 2 cameras, you've got audio, but it takes time to set that stuff up, put all that together. Now you've got actors, you've got costumers, you've got folks that are doing makeup, and you've got, in some instances, all of the support for the lead people or the talent, not the people, people like us that are making up the background or scenes. All of these facets, just for that moment, for a moment. And then most productions now are what, 2 hours at least, if not the epic 3-hour movie that takes place in
the AAA title,
the theaters or something like that. Think about all of the time and the role and the investment in that. And yes, hundreds of millions of dollars. But if we start cutting and pirating and putting that stuff out, it chips away at that and really erodes the foundations of the entertainment industry.
No, and I mean, that's the thing too is, well, you made a good point that I didn't think about. Has it gotten harder to track with, like the big thing was jailbreaking a Amazon Fire Stick. God, I worked on a freight dock before my current job, and I mean that was.
Oh, this goes back to, and this predates you, I know, but people would get cable TV. They'd get a descrambler. They'd get a code box or try to do something to work around the cable.
A descrambler, yeah.
Oh yeah. They'd attach that to try to get the cable, because the cable signal would come out, and you'd have to have the cable box in order to get the transmission and to be able to actually pull the channel up. Otherwise, it would show up as just this
white
kind of static. Right, exactly. You could see.
It's where we watched our WWF pay-per-views on. You could hear the audio, but you're like, what? Yeah, we grew up like dirt poor.
Well,
but we didn't have a scrambler, man.
So I mean, this is not something that's new. It's just as technology evolves, I think the challenges become greater for enforcement, and trying to, particularly in that area of, now that we see these streaming services and other sites, plus from an international standpoint, you have, just as you have folks that are trying to steal intellectual property and R&D and other things from the United States or other partners, globally, technologies, etc. Same thing, entertainment has value. And so if you can pull something or copy that or publish that out without necessarily being targeted or repercussions, they'll take it and try to make money with it. Because a lot of folks on these sites, they pay a fee, they pay a subscription, they pay for access, and yet nothing is coming back to the people that actually produced that work.
Yeah. This is a good one, but it's something I thought about, in light of the recent, George Floyd, and I mean, there was Rodney King back in '92, but incidents like that, has that ever, when that pendulum swings for, local and state level law enforcement, the guys that work the roads, patrol, the jails, does that affect federal at all? Does that hit your numbers at all, or did you ever notice anything like that?
It does, and I think in large part because you now see, for us, at least from the federal level, one of the aspects that was difficult, particularly about the job, was we policed the police. So from a public corruption, from a violation standpoint, from issues of civil rights infringements, often we would have investigations, and some that have been going on for decades. There were cold cases that would be reopened or investigated under that umbrella. So when something of national significance that would occur, and let me paint the broad picture, we'll call it the social justice movement. I think we, as a community within the United States, need to pay attention to that, and certainly from a federal law enforcement standpoint, we did and do. There were issues where you would see that pendulum swing, and then often crimes targeting individuals who are law enforcement, working in law enforcement, to broadly apply, say, well, what was that? All cops are bastards. The
ACAB.
ACAB going up and saying, well, for so long we have been under the umbrella that we're all bad. So just because of whether it be a underrepresented minority or whatever the case may be, so cops need to experience that or see that as well. So we get grouped into it, and I think it's a struggle to find that balance, because we on the federal side, we're always trying to root out corruption, issues, problems, but really fundamentally it also comes down to the profession as a whole. And I think from those experiences and from those instances, we as a law enforcement profession continue to improve on training, continue to improve on accountability, and trying to stop these from occurring again and repeating themselves. So do we pay attention to it? Does it impact us? Yes, because
I guess as far as I never thought about the federal side when it came to, okay, you're hearing about these nationwide shortages and people are having to pull detectives from the back and put them on patrol. And I'm like, man, I wonder if these, the alphabet soup agencies are hurting too, because I'm sure you are.
Absolutely. And I think that also anytime that something like this, that those occur, it gives that pause as well to the generations or the folks that are coming up to think, do I really want to go into this profession?
Yeah.
Is it as honorable as it is, why? Why are people going into it? Is it, well, I couldn't get a job anyplace else, so I'm going to go be a cop? No. More often than not now, there's a higher level of expectation. Bachelor's degrees are required for folks as they're moving up in rank. Continuing training is being mandated by many states to have a minimum of 24 hours. Now, can you train all of that? No. A lot of this is also character, understanding, empathy as well, and judgment. Too often, I think, as we, as law enforcement professionals, move forward, we try to see things in black and white, and the world isn't that.
Oh, no.
It's not. It's that gray in between, and we have to understand human beings, human nature, and our own. And I think that's where also that emotional intelligence plays an incredibly important role, which, coming all the way back, this is a whole other topic as well, discussion, but wellness and mental health, both for the general public as well as for the first responder community. And I cast that umbrella a little bit, or cast that net wide to not only law enforcement, but fire, EMS, folks that provide those emergency services on when people are having the worst day of their life. That's our work day, right? Yeah. So seldom do we have that kind of check-in, check-out ability. We're often, if you're especially in a larger institution or a larger metropolitan area, you're on the go quite a bit. And that process, that mental kind of reset, it sinks in and it builds up over time. And so if we don't have the vehicles to deal with that, I think we also struggle as a profession. I know there were a lot of comments there in that question.
No. You answered that very eloquently. And mental health, I actually brought this up with the clinical psychologist I interviewed. And I know they already know the answer to this for you, but social media. I feel like it's You know,
Isn't that what we're producing right now?
You're absolutely. I guess what I'm trying to no, you got me. What I meant was Facebook, like the doom scrolling.
Yes.
You sit down and you may not be able to relate to this, but it's just like you're like, man, what am I doing? You got the phone in your hand. You don't remember how you got it there. Facebook's open, Instagram's open, and it's like,
And
I don't even care what these people are doing. I don't even know these people.
And that is, yeah, for me, I still thankfully somewhat of an undiscovered area. I have my professional representation, which of course is probably sadly outdated. But from a LinkedIn standpoint, other things, I did it in many instances when I was with the Bureau because I needed an international landing point for folks that were outside the U.S. to have contact. I wasn't going to offer up with the Bureau or something to that effect. But beyond that, I never really established a Facebook presence. I think I briefly had an Instagram when I was running for local school board, but that was it. And I think 4 followers, not a it's not a big thing to me. But I also
You're not missing out on much.
well, and so I was fascinated by the fact that you want to sit down and talk. To me, I'm just living life, and I don't need to share that with the greater populace beyond the folks that I really care about and know, and those are the ones that I have contact with on a regular basis.
Well, I think that the main reason, for one, me and the FBI, that's an I mean, you just don't see a lot of people like that. You don't meet an FBI or former FBI agent every day. But also, you have people that are successful, and you're now in the part of your life where you're like, hey, I can venture out and do kind of what you want. Mm-hmm. People need to get. I think people are so intertwined in the struggle, the uphill battle, and social media, or not. So mental health is a big part of that.
Yes.
And you've overcame those hurdles. So picking your brain on stuff and talking to people about, hey, this is what I did, this is what my background was, and this is why I did it. People can gain a lot of, just hearing you talk about it, people can gain a lot of value. I did the first time we met. I was like, man, I think go back to the drawing board while I'm still in my early 30s.
All right.
And see what I need, if I need to pivot on something.
I think you're doing pretty well.
I'm trying, and that was like I said, the main emphasis. And I just genuinely have a genuine curiosity about people. It's just, for me, that was one of the things, kind of like you and I talked about before. I was like, man, if it's something that people can glean something positive out of, hey, that's enough for me. But well, I'm with you on that. I don't care what these other people. Nothing against them. I have a lot of people that I haven't seen from.
Again, everybody has their own experience, but I think that's the key. Figure out what your experience will be. Don't depend on whatever your scroll or the person that's an influencer. Talk about a career that did not exist. Or I've seen kind of develop, and people are now having this as an aspiration. And yes, it works. People have sponsors, they have followers, they have this whole kind of, there's an economy that has developed as part of this. And I think that's what we need to at least be aware as a consumer, and let's call it that we are consumers of social media and what is present out there. But where's reality?
Yeah.
What's factual? And then are we doing our due diligence before we go down a path, buy into something, see something that might even be produced by an algorithm based on our clicks or where you're going? So I would say be able to, as much as folks are engaged with that, be able to step back and ask the question, does that make sense?
That's the phase I'm in.
Is that reality? No. And more important, what is my reality? Take a look at the person that's across from you at the table. Look at your day-to-day routine and figure out, is this a necessity or is this just something that is a distraction?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. I talk to people my age, and it's just like you're talking to them and they're just, yep. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, Can we not? Can you not? And it's nothing that they're not doing anything urgent. Like, hey, am I bothering you? Because I'll ask them, hey, am I
Right. Is this
bad time?
Bad time?
No,
Right.
It's like, man, could you put the phone down? But it's a virus, and I'm at that phase though where I'm stepping back and going, man, I don't really care anymore about what other, It's not that I never cared. It was just it's wasting time until you die, is what I feel like.
Time is a finite resource.
Yeah.
How you choose to spend it is entirely up to you.
Yeah. So I think that and I've dealt with anxiety now. It's gotten worse. And especially it started peaking around my right when I enter my 30s, and I'm like, man. For me, it was a sense of urgency, and now I feel like, okay, this social media thing's got to go. Yeah, the podcast. I feel like it's positive. I don't feel like it's like, hey, if I sat and said, hey, I edited a video for 5 hours today, and it was something that I put out that, kind of like what I said before, someone can benefit from, and you're having an actual interaction with someone. You and I are sitting here.
Correct.
Unless this is some weird simulation that you might know about. I work for the FBI, the Matrix that I know nothing about. But
which pill did you take? Was it the red or the blue?
I'm a red. Yeah, I'm probably more of a red pill guy. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I emphasize when I talk to teens, and like my son now, he's 11, he's in sports.
Right.
And we've got this old iPhone, and he started picking it up. We always sell our phones. We pay them off, we sell them. And I was like, so her and I spoke about it, and was like, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to put service back on it and let him have a phone. And I was like, man, it's just a whole nother influx of problems that could arise. But this is my next and final topic I wanted to talk to you about.
All right.
Because you said it, and I was like, really? It's involving child rearing, and you have never been to a parent-teacher conference. You're on the school board.
You're on school board. I don't know what that says.
Yeah, well, that's an oxymoron.
No, I think that for our boys in particular, and my wife and I were just joking about this the other evening. We expected a lot from our kids.
Okay.
And we said that. My wife often would be, I think, the soft landing place. I might have been the a little bit more on the, don't make me tell your dad. Wait till dad gets home. Kind of balance in how we went back and forth. But again, my wife and I have known each other since we were, I think, 11, 12. So there's not a lot of mystery or secret of where I come from, who I am, and I attribute a lot of this again to my parents, my father, who thankfully is still with us and has had an influence and relationship with his grandkids. That was one of our motivating factors to get back here to Cincinnati. And same thing with my mother as well. But we tried to give them the opportunity to be problem solvers. In other words, I'm not going to solve the battle or an issue in their classroom if they have a problem with a teacher or an instructor. That's not my role to fight. Are they getting a quality education? That's a concern. But what are they learning? What are they doing to further that purpose? And, oh, by the way, I know from a genetic standpoint, you have what you need to be successful. How are you going to use it? Mm-hmm. And so they needed to figure out the workaround. They needed to figure out how to make it work. And that's all the human relationships. That's how folks learn.
Yeah.
It's through conflict. It's through struggles, setbacks. And yes, I'll say it. You've heard it. People talk about it. Failures.
Yeah. No.
And allowing them to fail and to struggle in some instances is how you build resilience. And that may, again, oversimplify the concept, but for us, we also talked with our children from the time they were younger, very, very frankly. And I don't want to say as adults, I mean, there's certain things we filtered a little bit. But so those parent-teacher conferences, unless there's a problem, I mean, like a real problem, an arm falls off, even then, the great advances in medicine will be fine. But,
I'm laughing because I mean, it really, it's like, man, you tell people that, and they're like, oh my goodness. It's like, well, no, man, because you are truly teaching your kids real world tools.
For instance, it was funny, you just mentioned I was school board. I was at the school, they do an end of the year celebration, and guidance counselor came up to me. She said, she gave me this big hug. Honestly, I've talked with her on the phone. She's called for permission on things or to let me know if something was going on. But she tells us what our son is doing. Now, people can question and say, oh, you're not involved. No, my son has figured out, has networked, has made a plan. This is my youngest, and my older two, all different personalities, but all in their own right, pretty successful kids. So
you're young, or you're 22? How old is he?
My oldest is now 23.
Okay, 23. But he's a DJ. He's doing what else is he doing?
Yeah, he's our serial entrepreneur.
Yeah, but he's doing really well.
Yeah, and if he's not making money, he graduated, bought his first house.
Yeah, that's insane.
Is now in grad school.
I learned how to tie my shoe when I was 23.
Velcro helps.
Yeah.
He's an MBA student and working a full-time job, and still doing kind of those side hustles. When he's not earning money, he feels he's nervous and he's trying to save. He's
nervous, yeah. He's a
go-getter,
to
save and push stuff away. He's funded his retirement. We're proud of him. He's really a.
Well, I wanted to give an example to back up what you were saying, though, because it's true. I mean, I wholeheartedly agree with you. It's like, hey, you're having problems with the other kid on the bus. What do you expect me to do? Get on the bus and yank this fifth grader out of the window and beat him up? Like, no. You need to you got to ride this bus for the school year.
Right.
And I mean,
and it's it's very. I think it's tough for us. Certainly, you love your children, right?
Absolutely.
You love your kids. You love your family. We as parents want them that adage. You want them to live a better life. You want them to have more success. You want them to have all of these things. But we can't solve their problems for them because I think that is really taking away from them.
Absolutely.
That ability to negotiate, to interact, to problem solve one-on-one, to figure out resilience. And that, failures can happen whether it's in the classroom or in a social interaction.
Yeah.
And those are okay. Now that's where, as a parent, it's okay. Help them pick themselves back up, dust themselves off. Get back into the game, get back into whatever it is. But I'm not going to be their bulldozer, their helicopter, their. I'll be their cheerleader.
Yeah.
I absolutely 100% all the time that door will be open. Mm-hmm. But I might have a note on the door that says I'll be back in 5 minutes. So in the meantime, you deal with what that is.
Keep on clearing it. Yeah. Keep on clearing your path.
But I will. You can certainly bounce things off of me, but you need to make that choice or decision.
Yeah, I caught myself slipping into this. Let me do it for him. Let me do it for him. Because
it'd be so much faster and easier if I just take care of this, right? It's human nature.
Well, I didn't have, and man, like
you've got a different story though too.
And that was the thing was okay. How do I learn from other people's mistakes? And you hear it in all different walks of life. People,
sure.
Dad left, single mom, kids grew up, with one parent in the household, or grandparents raised them, or whatever. So it's like for me, it was the worst case scenario. Both parents just died, and I went into the system. And I'm not asking for a pity party. It's just when I grew up and had kids, and I remember I was 22 when he was born, and I was like, holy crap, man! Like, who? But I knew what I wanted. I wanted him for my kids, but it was so simple. It was simple, but it's not easy. Right. It's like, I want him to have a better life. Okay, well,
how do we make that happen?
When he's 50 years old, if God blesses me to be still alive, if I'm in my early 70s, That's still not. That's still kind of young. I mean, that's
Careful.
Hopefully
Tread,
I'm
tread
not.
lightly, my friend.
Hopefully
I'm
not.
not too far from that.
Hopefully not. I mean, you said something about genetics. It's, yeah. But you know, are you going to solve his problems when he's 50?
No.
You solve them when he's, you know, and it's like, I don't want to. It's like alcohol and firearms. One of the two big things that her and I had to have a sit down about, and I had it figured out. At least I thought I did. I've never had anyone disagree with me. I said, look, if you keep that away from them, you hear about it all the time. These unfortunate tragedies that happen on prom night or their first night at college, and they overindulge, and something bad happens because they don't want to tell, or a firearm. They've never been around firearms, so now they have this like just
Fascination with it.
and it's
right.
like you don't know what you're doing, and you're going to blow your face off. So that, I guess, concept is pretty standard across the board. It's like, hey, I'll help you with this. There's dangers to this. You know, you have to treat life with respect because you can easily go down the wrong road.
Yes.
But I'm going to let you figure that out and let you try to forge your own path. No, I love it. I love it. I tell you, man. Like, I was like, man, you know what? I've been over-involved in a bad way. Like, really, like doing it for them and not that. No, you said bulldozer versus cheerleader or doing it for them. Yeah, I was pushing the mop for them.
Yeah, and that's, you know, it's funny. I think a lot of this, and I go back. I'm an Eagle Scout, and I'm proud to say I'm the father of 3 Eagle Scouts.
Jeez Louise.
My boys, the scouting program, and this is something that's been going on since 1910. It's not a new concept, but it is. They use the EDGE method of instruction or teaching, and that's something that you hear in businesses, you hear it in different coaching elements, but it's, you educate, you demonstrate, you guide, and you empower or enable, right? So you're trying to, it's a mentorship, but you're empowering someone to say, here are the tools, you do it. Show me that you can do it, and go forth and be successful. And that kind of pedagogy, I think, translates well to a number of different areas. And for my wife and I as well, it takes two. There's no question. And they say it takes a village, and often we would look at ourselves and like, we got the idiots, right? I mean, but.
Jeez.
But the truth of the matter is, we now and we've got, and I know a lot of my colleagues don't share this, or they look at us with kind of shock and sometimes disgust but we have a family group chat.
Yeah.
And we know that the boys have their own. So there's the 3 of them communicate with stuff that they don't want mom and dad to see necessarily or talk about. But then they'll dime each other out every once in a while. Can you believe they post, but it's private. It's just our family. And
sounds like a sitcom.
We've got a 23-year-old, we've got a 22-year-old, and we've got a 17-year-old, and the 2 of us. And we're still all communicating. Now, this is not over social media. This is private. This is within us and our context. But it's also funny that there are these apps and things that are out, right? People have, for safety, life, and I'm not promoting anything in particular.
Life 360.
Right? Life 360 is one. There are a number of different things that are out there, right? Or you could even do it on some devices. Find My iPhone, whatever the case may be. Well, our boys still have that on and active. I mean, and part of it now has become a game of where in the world is, he's here, he's over here, or where they're traveling, what, and it's now, it's served its purpose for that safety and awareness standpoint, and now it's one of those, hey, what's going on, or what do you
I see you're in New York.
Exactly. So it's interesting that I think with that trust, and that's the key. There has to be that respect for them as individuals that are learning that they're not you.
Yeah.
They're not your wife.
Right.
And that's what is amazing to me as a parent, is that I've got 3 boys. They were raised in the same household, and they could not be more different.
Yeah.
I see similarities and I see traits and things that they've developed.
Little overlap.
Little overlap and nuances. And I'll tell you, we say the third one will likely be the smartest of the three. And yes, I don't care if the other two see this, that's fine. But it's because he's learned from them.
Oh yeah.
They
yeah.
have helped teach him.
Yeah.
And he's learned from their mistakes. He's learned how to better manipulate the two of us. So he's, and all of these elements in human interaction, it is truly a great case study to kind of watch that evolution.
Yeah. Does it hurt to look back though when old pictures, like when they were young, like little?
Well, sure. I mean,
man, I get a video. I get these freaking pop-ups, and it's like 10 years ago today, and I'm like, oh. I mean, obviously, I'm not.
Well, time flies. I see your little ones out there, and it is. It's like looking in a mirror from a decade and a half ago.
Oh man, yeah, we had the same kid 3 times. It's crazy. Like I'm like, if you cheated with the same man 3 times.
I used to joke our middle one came out looking a little different than the other two. So,
boy,
I was on the road a lot. Just saying.
Well, so you came back full circle to Cincinnati, and you're from here. This is home for you.
Yes.
Yeah. It sounds like, I mean, you went out there, you did it, and like a boomerang.
Well, and it's funny that in this community in particular, people kind of draw back because they realize this is a good environment for families, especially. There's a lot of opportunity. It's a small enough city, strong economy.
How big is Cincinnati?
Opportunities are there. Realistically, as far as our footprint, I want to say it's like 500,000 within kind of the expanded range and all the different suburbs in there. But what's nice is you've got professional sports teams. You've got the Cincinnati Opera. You've got the Cincinnati Zoo. You've got, and plus Cincinnati Children's. You have incredible facilities, resources, entertainment, and an international airport that's just over the river in northern Kentucky, so you can get to just about anywhere very easily. It's a great spot. It truly is.
Move to Cincinnati.
Just give my
man, I
little
was wrecked on the way over here. I'm serious, man.
Chamber of Commerce, right?
I was like, God, look at these houses. Well, she was taking a nap. I'm like, look. Like, it's like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Some of the regions here, we happen to be in one of the more affluent suburbs right now. But
well, I appreciate you.
Rest assured, I'm not living in it, but I just get to visit from time to time.
How is the retirement for the Feds? Pretty good, or I mean, you can't complain.
I can't complain, and it's all based on service and years of service and rank and where you are. And some people that get to the senior executive services, their packages will be a little bit different. But most of us in the GS scales. You're not going to get rich doing this. That's number one, right?
Right.
Understand that going in, but that's not. I may not be financially, but I know from life experience, hands down, I'll say I'm a very wealthy individual.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. You lived, was it in Spain?
When I was a young kid, yes.
Okay, yeah, I remember you saying. I thought it was Spain. But I couldn't remember.
My father worked for Procter & Gamble, again, one of the blue chips here in Cincinnati. It's based. And we were international division, so we went back and forth a few times to Europe. I lived there for a few months as a young kid. We lived on the Mediterranean as they were building a plant in Mataró, Spain. Came back and then went back overseas again and lived in Barcelona, which is a little further down the coast.
That's what I remember. Okay.
I should say Barcelona.
I was going to say, is that Barcelona?
Right.
Yeah, but I remember you mentioning Bar. See, I pay attention.
Good.
I'm not as dumb as I look. But, I think that's it, man. I think I covered all my little talking points in my little notebook there. I know this is a rare occurrence, so I wanted to make sure that I got pretty much everything that I had out, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Andrew, it's been a pleasure, and I wish you the best, and certainly.
I'll keep in touch. I'll text you from time to time.
Stay in touch.
And, I love to have a good sounding board for people that are you've done it now. You're in that, I guess, like I said, you're in that phase where you can kind of do what you want. Yeah. What are you doing now?
My wife asked me the same question.
Okay. Just like, I'm just eating a bowl of cereal.
I'm very grateful. I have an opportunity where we met, which was through
Training,
Homefront Protection, is a group that was started by Lou Savelli. He's a retired sergeant from NYPD, and he has a wide, vast array of instructors across the United States. I'm merely one of them. But we work under the umbrella of Homefront Protection, which is with the National Counter Drug Training Centers, the NCTC program. And so we have focuses in different areas, and that's where I spend, I'd say 30% of my time, 40% of my time, just depends on the classes, when they're scheduled, where they are, my availability. I also am also very, very thankful to be a part-time employee with General Dynamics Information Technologies. They're a group that does some tremendous work historically. I mean, going back to the moon landing, to some of the tech support and input for the first nuke sub that was launched for the U.S. Navy. I mean, General Dynamics has had this incredible role from communications, information systems, technology, and then support. I work with programs that support the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, which is one of the elements under the DoD umbrella. It does a lot of positive work and outreach outside of the borders of the U.S. to try to prevent bad stuff from even coming across the pond or reaching the borders here. So again, for me, it's a chance to still focus on a mission that I believe in, but do so on a time frame and ability that fits better with my current life.
Man, you're still busy though. Yeah, that's good. It sounds like you have a lot of flexibility though, or it seems like you do.
It does, and so I think it's more of a selection in getting to choose and what's available. So, if they answer or they ask and I don't have the time, then I'll wait. I'll wait till the next rotation.
That's a blessing. Well, listen, for real this time. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Rob, thank you again. Yeah, that was great.
Andrew, pleasure and best of luck.
Thank you, buddy.